Introduction to Patrick. So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Insights and Innovation series for this wonderful Monday. Today, we have one of our special partners, Snap, who have joined the IMAA recently, and we absolutely love it. They're a fascinating and interesting business. The more I know, the more I want to know more, and they're doing some absolutely wonderful things. We've got Patrick. How do you pronounce the last name? Is it Falzone, Patrick?
Folsom.
Folsom.
Yeah.
I like it. Falzone sounds a little bit more exotic for you, but we'll go with that. So we've got Patrick there. He's one of the managers, one of the managers over at Snap. He's and he's going to talk about the positive mindset of business growth, amongst some other different things. So Patrick, I'm going to hand over to you to do a more eloquent introduction to what you're going to talk about, and I'll keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. So I'll just share my screen. Everyone should be seeing that. Now, this is a pretty fancy title, Mastering a Positive Mindset for Business Growth. I sound like a sensei for business growth. I can assure you that I am not. But what I will be talking through today is how social platforms really bringing a different type of need for consumers in their daily activity across their social experience. And what we want to talk through today is how you can really tap into the behaviours that come off the back of those needs through some pretty in-depth research that we conducted with Mindshare in partner. So I'll jump straight into it. So I thought I'd start with how I use one of the many social platforms that I use each and every day, and that is, of course, Snapchat. So what you can see, this first clip here is a snap that I received from my wife over the weekend. This is my 6-month-old Freddie. He's just starting to eat berries, which you can see here, probably a little bit bitter for him to start with. But this is, one of, numerous snaps that I'll get from my wife around with Freddie and what he's getting up to whilst I'm at work or wherever I am throughout the week. Secondly, you can see here, this is actually a snap that I sent both my wife and my mother-in-law. We have a little group on Snap that we sort of share pictures of, whether it's with the kids or whether it's with my dog Maggie here, who's just absolutely obsessed with jumping in mud. This was a couple of months ago when it was wet. So yeah, I use Snap to either receive snaps from my loved ones or close friends, and also use it to send snaps of what's happening throughout my day with my close circle of friends as well. And lastly, here you can see here I was just browsing through Snap yesterday actually, and I clicked on my mate Mike, who's actually a former employee of Snap. He's just left Snap and he's traveling around Australia. And I actually noticed that he was at Clancy's Fish Bar, which is in Perth, and I have been there before. Great oysters there. And I clicked on his story and just let him know that I'd been there and I can recommend it. And this is just a snapshot of, like what I look to Snapchat for. I really look for it and, to experience, those happy moments throughout the day. And that fulfills that need for me. And Snap's really great at that. And that's, generally what other social platforms do as well. They fulfill a need for consumers. And off that need becomes behaviors which brands can really tap into. So that's what we'll chat through today. So when we think of, social media, we often think of, the scale of social platforms, what's trending, what creators are the hottest thing at the moment, what's your favorite meme, but we don't really break down, how that all comes together. So the research that we put together with Mindshare at the back end of last year really dove into that. So we wanted to find out what that consumer need was, what users really want from their social experience. Then we set out to find what platforms lean into those needs the most. What platforms can cater and give the best experience for the consumer. And then what behaviors can be tapped into off the back of those needs and what platforms are catering for those needs. And that's and where those things converge is really where brands can understand and have impact when we're speaking to their audiences. So when we set out to find out, why people actually use social media, these are some of the themes that we discovered. Staying in touch with friends is obviously a key part to social media, having fun and being entertained, learning and educating themselves, and exploring the world around you. Some of the key themes that came out of really understanding why that we are using social platforms and different social platforms each and every single day. And what generally came out of this question and research is that we identified 6 different need states that consumers are in when they're using social platforms. You can see here exploring, so discovering new experiences and new places. Joy is a really key one, being happy and using platforms to be in a happy mind state. And that's where we'll sort of tap into from a Snapchat point of view today as well. Learning is a really key state that users look to social platforms for. Passing time, obviously, filling in the gaps throughout the day. We're all guilty of being in a scroll hole across the social platforms. Progression is a really key need state. So, bettering your life through social platforms. And then lastly, connection, which is obviously a really key need state, and staying connected to whether it's your broad circle or your close circle as well. So what we found is that these need states reflect generational shifts, right? So we know that from boomers to Gen X to millennials to Gen Zs, they're all very, very different and use technology very differently. But social is not different as well. So the dominant mindset for Gen Zers is progression. So they're using social platforms to really benefit their lives and really gain recognition on social platforms. And that's a really key mind state that they're using their platforms for, whether it's, the TikToks or Instagrams or Snap. They're using it to progress their lives. Connection and joy progress with age. Now, that's not too surprising when you think about it. You might lose touch with some, school friends or university friends that, as you grow older, you become less in contact for. That's where really social media and social experiences can play a part as we get older and move through, the generational shifts. But what we also did find is that learning, exploring, and passing time remain consistent across the generations as well. So we're all using social platforms for learning, for exploring, and passing time throughout the day. Now, some neuroscience research that we also conducted with Mindshare found that how platforms are tied to unique need states and where they sit and where they lean toward within these need states. So you can see here that Facebook is leaning towards more connection. So you're connecting with a broad range of people. You can see with LinkedIn and Instagram, it's leaned into sort of passing time, but also career focused as well. But where we sort of saw an outlier was with Snapchat and the need state being joy, coming to the platform to feel happiness. And that's something that we are really leaning into as a business at Snap, and how brands can really take advantage of that need state and of our users being in that need state when they're using the platform. So what behaviors are created by consumer needs? You might see Snap, you might be able to scroll through Snapchat, whether it's on the Discover side, and that might be fulfilling a need of progression. You might be learning about something on Snapchat. You might also be learning about things on LinkedIn. You might be posting on LinkedIn about your career, and that's leaning towards the need state of progression as well. But this sort of pointed to that behaviors can vary by platform, catering to the different needs that consumers have throughout their day. I'm not going to post on Snapchat that I'm presenting at an IMAA session this morning. I'm most likely going to share that on LinkedIn, and that's a behavior that's very specific to that platform. Now you can see here that platform behaviors between these 3 different platforms very similar within a scroll, within a feed. And that's a platform behavior where, users are mostly using this to pass time or discover new things or learn about a specific subject. On Snapchat, it's very different. So we are a close circle of friends, and we're first and foremost a communication platform. So sending messages between whether it's your friends or family, either visually through the camera or through the messenger side on the left-hand side of the app. But they're also coming to the platform to consume as well. So that can fill the need of, passing time, of connecting with friends, of exploring or educating yourself as well on the right-hand side of the app where friend stories sit and our discover content sits as well. Now, what we found in research as well, in the neuro insight research we did with Mindshare, is that the core reason for Snapchat is connecting with close friends. You can see here, this sort of tapers off throughout the other platforms in the social circle. But the friend graph on Snapchat is relatively, quite a lot smaller than you might find on other platforms. We have on average around 40 to 50 friends on Snapchat, where, you might follow thousands of people on other platforms, or thousands of people might follow you as well. And all this culminates in our users feeling happy when they're using Snapchat. And we think that that's incredibly important for brands when they're showing up and when they're sort of being present within the Snapchat app experience. And we do have some research behind this, and that this mindset, this happy mindset that users are in when they're using Snapchat, boosts advertising receptivity. Some research that we did at the back end of 2022 with OMD showed that we have around twice the active attention when watching video advertising on Snapchat. Now, that goes to show that that close circle of friends and that mind state that users are in when they're using Snapchat means that they're leaning in actively more. Snapchat is engaged with their friend content and branded content exactly the same as well. So that what this sort of shows here is that close circle content is the content that you're receiving from your best friends on the platform. And when you're moving to broad circle content, so whether it's the feed or whether it's sort of broad circle, branded content, you can see here, call it 2% or call it flat engagement score. But on the other platforms, when they're moving from that close circle content to the broad circle content, there's a significant drop off in engagement. And that mindset of being connected with their close circle of friends on Snap doesn't have as big of a drop in engagement score when they move to that branded content. So if we were to sort of, really have a mission statement for Snap, it's that Snapchat enhances relationships between friends, family, and the world. And the world is the key part where brands can really fit in on Snap. So our audience continues to grow. We've got on average around 8 million monthly active users, and we consider ourselves the platform for the under 40s. We've got 75% of the 13 to 34-year-old population in Australia. And we've also got a unique audience against the other platforms. You can see here that on Instagram, 27% of daily Snapchatters aged 18 plus do not use Instagram every other day. And that really comes down to the core value of Snapchat being a communication platform. So we're used very differently than we are, with our peer set or, with the other platforms that are used throughout the day. And that really drives that incremental audience. As I mentioned, we're the platform for under 40s. We are almost a 13-year-old company now. And a lot of our users have aged up. It's a common misconception that Snapchatters is just for the teens, and the younger demographic, the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas now, very heavily engaged with Snap. They're using it as their primary platform for messaging their friends, But a lot of our users have simply aged up. Around half our audience in Australia is over 25 now. And as you can see here, Snap is a core screen for the audience as well. So not only are they using it for messaging their friends, but you can see here that Roy Morgan research, have you used or watched in the last 7 days? Snap is a really key part to the screens that they are using. And you can see here that this is the 18 to 39 demographic. Cool. So how can your brand actually show up on the app? And what does the app look like these days? So I'll give you a quick breakdown of what the current state of the app is. So we've got 5 tabs on the app. First and foremost, opening to the camera. This is 100% on purpose. We're the only sort of messaging app that opens to the camera. And this is, to invite creativity, to be the fastest way to communicate visually. And for the users to explore all the different creative tools that we have within the camera. If a user was to swipe left, they can either enter the map or the chat function. The map is to check in to see where your friends are and what they're doing, if they have their profile on public. You can also tap into the various heat maps around the world and see what content is being posted to the map. You can obviously chat with your friends in either group chat or one-to-one. This is where a lot of the engagement is on the app in general. This is, the core value of the app is to chat with their close friends and family. Now, if you were to swipe right from the camera, that's where you enter the stories function, where you can check in on your friends' stories, the content that they're posting to their story. You can also check in on creator content as well as publisher content that we house in the stories function. Then we've also got Spotlight, where if you do want to publicly post in a feed style, you can do so. So where do ads live? On the right-hand side of the app. So within the camera, stories, and Spotlight, we do have some beta opportunities within the chat and map function, but we'll mostly focus on the right-hand side of the app today, where all your video ads are mostly seen. So Snap's video solutions are quite versatile. So we've got non-skippable. So these are 6-second non-skip ads. Think of them like your YouTube bumper ads. We've also got your skippable ads, exactly the same formats as what you'd use across your other social platforms. And then we've got a takeover solution where you can have a one-day buyout across your key moments throughout the year. Now, we know that combining all of our video ad formats drives brand lift. So on average, 8-point product ad awareness, 3-point ad awareness, and 1-point action intent. And we know that delivering these ads across the app has an incremental audience effect. So making sure that we are reaching audiences within stories, within publisher content, and within Spotlight is really critical to making sure that we are reaching as many users as possible when they're using the app. We do have very cost-efficient and incremental reach. What we saw across Q4 was very competitive CPMs and cost per clicks from a top of funnel point of view. But we've sort of really been making sure that we're, moving towards the play where we are using high reach across our takeovers, including augmented reality, which we've pioneered in the market and globally as well, and making sure that we are being as effective as possible. So from a takeover point of view, there's 2 options available to brands. So you can either use a total takeover, which is combining both video and AR filters, or simply the video takeover, which reaches 3 million users for ages 13 plus. Uber Eats are a really great partner of ours, and they were first to market for the first story takeover, which is the video takeover, last year, and saw tremendous results, not only from a reach point of view, but also from an engagement point of view. And you can see here a really nice quote from Annie Morley, who is the Director of Marketing over at Uber Eats. So from a lower funnel point of view, we've also been making a lot of changes in the last 18 months. A lot of that is to do with the pending cookie apocalypse, and making sure that we're doing things that like signal quality scores, so making sure that all the events that matter to brands from a lower funnel point of view are passing back to our ads manager platform, and making sure that we are receiving those. So bringing in things like event quality score, and marking our homework on things like pixel events. We've also brought in things like 7-0 purchase optimization, which is essentially allowing us to optimize towards those last click purchases. And you can see a quote here. I'm not sure if you can see his name, but Stephen D'Souza, who runs Social Firebrand, who I believe is a member of the IMAA, working really closely with him on his brands, and seeing tremendous results from a lower funnel point of view. And just quickly on a case study, great partners of ours, High Smile, saw tremendous results when we brought in the 7-0 optimization for the pixel and online sales. So who else is doing it well on Snap? Mars are really great partners of ours, using the platform as an audience buyer and really making sure that we're efficiently reaching all their audiences across all their brands. JD Sports uses us for their online e-commerce platform, as well as brand awareness campaigns. Officeworks, great partner of ours, using us across their dynamic ads and using us for catalogs as well. And you can see here Airbnb too, using us for app install and driving those bookings. So if I was to leave you with 3 takeaways, Snap drives meaningful connection within the close circle of friends. And it's really important that brands are using the platforms for what mindset their consumers and customers are using the platforms for. Snap has a highly targetable and relevant audience. We're very scalable across the under 40s, which have a very high purchasing power, especially the 18 to 39-year-olds. And lastly, we have a versatile and efficient video offering. Thanks, guys. Hopefully that was valuable for everyone.
Thank you. Are there any questions from anyone? And if not, we can connect you later on post the event. And so often there isn't questions, Patch. Patch, thank you so much for that. Really, really interesting. Thank you, Snap, for supporting the independent sector and keeping this humble community going. Really appreciate it. Thank you everyone for tuning in today. Just a reminder, Clean Up Australia Day in Melbourne and in Sydney tomorrow. NT trip, if there's an interest there for a once-in-a-lifetime experience, come out to the NT. It will actually change the way you think about things. Cans and Cans, half-price tickets and an event out there, so let us know if you're coming. WA agencies, we're out there in a few weeks. Brisbane boat trip happening on the 18th of April. Patch, thank you so much for your contribution today. Thank you, members, for tuning in. Everyone have a wonderful week. It's a beautiful day outside in every state I've checked. And I'll talk to everyone soon. Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.